Okay, so welcome everybody to the Marinas and Yacht Club's Field Response Communication workshop. And let me just start here. Before we get started, first of all, my name is Vivian Matuk. I'm the Environmental Voting Program Manager for both the California State Parks and the California Coastal Commission. Before we get started, and on behalf of our agencies, including the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, Office of Spill Prevention and Response, and my two agencies, we want to express our deep gratitude to the club, Encino Yacht Club. For people who are joining us virtually, we have an amazing club here right now with an amazing view. So thank you so much to the club for hosting. And I want to let the team introduce themselves.
Good morning. I'm Andrea Moore. I work for the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, Office of Spill Prevention and Response. Statewide, I'm a volunteer unit leader. I'm also an assistant liaison for the state. The hat that I'm wearing today is that I am the local government grants coordinator for a oil spill response equipment trailer grant that we offer, and that's what I'll be talking to you about today. I'm also the co-facilitator with Vivian, and we've been working together on this workshop for you today. So if you have any questions, see myself or Vivian, and looking forward to offering you some material today. I want to introduce some of your presenters. They will be introducing themselves, but today with us, we have an oil spill prevention specialist, Mike Caligari, and he will be presenting on case studies, and Amanda Johnson, one of our law enforcement wildlife officers, will be presenting on OSPR, who we are, what we do, and how we serve the state of California and what that function is. So they will introduce themselves and a little bit about what they do in their presentations, but that's what we will be doing today. Thank you.
Wanted to check for our friends joining us virtually, how is the volume and the vision that you're getting? We want just to make sure that everybody's having a pleasant educational experience. If somebody can give me a thumbs up or unmute yourself. Just quickly check
Very
here.
good.
Excellent, fantastic, thank you. If you need for any reason to call our attention, please do so, because we have to manage two groups. So thank you for your response. So let's start with the people in the room. Thank you again for joining us today. Please make sure you turn on your cell phones. We want you to be here, committed to learn. Let's remember that we have a hybrid workshop, so we have people joining us from different parts of the state. When you ask a question, please speak up. I'll try to repeat the question to the people joining us virtually so they have the same capacity to enjoy this educational experience. For our people joining us virtually, I want to invite you to turn on your cameras if possible. I understand sometimes the signal is not the best or you don't have a built-in camera, but we just want you to be part of the group as well. In addition to that, everybody will be muted, not because we don't want to hear your beautiful voices, but it's just to avoid the background noise that is created sometimes by Zoom. When it's time to ask questions, you can unmute yourself, raise your hand, or use the chat function. And this brings me to a point. Please try not to use that much the chat, because sometimes we don't know if something is happening or we get distracted. If you can ask your questions during the question and answer section after each section, that would be fantastic. So everybody is fully committed here. So I want to ask you to please exercise some patience today. Remember that we have two groups, so I have to make sure that people here are enjoying the workshop, but also you guys joining us virtually. So be patient with us today. It's a team effort. Okay, let's go over the handouts. My friends joining us virtually, I'm going to go ahead again and include the link right here, so you have full access to those. And my friends who are joining us here today, we have the toolkit, and let me just move these probably a little bit up, that we're going to be reviewing today. Another handout that is included in your toolkit is one of the recommended spill response equipment for boating facilities. We also have, for people joining us here in the room, a small booklet that is yellow. For our people joining us virtually, no worries, we have it in your list of handouts. And then we're going to do a spill exercise. So for our people joining us here would be these handouts. And no worries, we will walk you through that later on. And for our people joining us virtually, you will see in the folder that you have all the handouts, a file entitled spill exercise. All right.
Quick question,
Yes.
are some of the answers to the boater kit cleaning, the boater kits for the dock walkers in here?
No, everything is referenced to that, but for the voter kit is in the voter kit action.
Thanks.
Okay, so getting to know you. So we have here, based on the people who register online and also people joining us today, we have people joining us from different counties. I tried to color them. We have Alameda, Contra Costa, Lake County, LA, Mono, Napa, Orange County, Placer County, Riverside, Sacramento, San Diego, San Joaquin, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Solano, also Santa Barbara, San Francisco, San Mateo, Ventura, and Riverside. And we have pretty much people joining us from different organizations. As you can see, there are like 4 districts and also boatyards and yacht clubs, Coast Guard auxiliary and power squadrons, staff from the county, cities, yacht sales, and also boaters. So it's a great combination of people. Thank you for joining us today. Let's quickly review the agenda. So first of all, we have, after the introductions, we're going to be actually talking from a bird's eye view perspective, and we will be joined by our colleague Amanda Johnson, who will be explaining to all of us the California oil spill response structure. So we start from a bird's eye view perspective, so you know who plays what kind of role when that happens. Then we have a specific section for questions. Then we will be reviewing the spill response communication toolkit, a little bit of the history, components, and very useful tools for you. Then we'll have the question section, then a break. And then once we come back, we will have a oil spill exercise that will be led by Andrea, our colleague. And then we will be jumping into real case spill scenarios that have happened in this year and the last year approximately. And that will be led by Michael Caligari, who will be in charge of that section. Then we'll have the question sections, and then we will wrap it up by Andrea talking about the Office of Spill Prevention and Response grants and other resources. We will have the question section, and then at the end of the meeting, probably this afternoon or tomorrow morning, I'm going to be sending you an email with the evaluation form that will be online. So I will appreciate everybody to please fill out the evaluation form. And this brings me to the attention of the people joining us virtually. If you are in the room with somebody else who is not showing in the screen, if you can just let us know so we can check you in Zoom, that would be fantastic, as we only see one person per camera. All right. In addition to that, I wanted to bring to your attention that we are recording this workshop. And in addition, I wanted to bring to your attention that people joining us online, there's a slight delay. So we will be trying just to slow down a little bit so we are all at the same time kind of enjoying the workshop. So what you're also learning today, or why we have created these workshops, is because we want you to stop from your daily routine and activities and to join these educational experience. We want you to make sure that you refresh your memory about some concepts or gain new information in terms of emergency response, spill response. Also, we want you to remember that we all need to be proactive. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we prepare, prevent, and respond. Let's remember that prevention is the cheapest way to control pollution, and that emergencies are best handled as a team, right? In addition to that, we are bringing to you and our friends joining us virtually a bunch of experts. So you have the opportunity to ask questions. And I want to emphasize, not once, but many times, this is a safe environment. You can ask as many questions as you want. And if you have a question, it's because you don't know the response. So don't feel like we're going to judge you by any means. That's why we're here, because we want to share resources with you. Even the silliest question deserves our response, and we will try to help you with that effort. And we want also for you to acquire new information so you can increase and improve your response products. All right, so we're going to start with a polling exercise. So for the people here joining us, there's a handout that is entitled questions or something related to polls. And I want you to take a minute of your time to think about the response for that question. For our friends joining us online, I'm going to launch a poll and I'm going to give you 1 minute. So I will appreciate if you please take your time, and I'm launching the poll, and Jenna, if you can tell me if you see it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our people joining us online, please go ahead and take your time to respond to the question. Remember, be sincere. That's what we want to know. And for our people joining us here, Andrea is going to help me kind of collecting your information. So then as a team, we can share your knowledge and the virtual knowledge. So we have 30 more seconds
So
to
for
go.
question number 1, do you know who your county Office of Emergency Services are? Raise your hand. Yes? No?
Are you asking the individual or the office?
No, just the office. You know how, yes? Yeah.
Okay. So, and
Yeah,
we're
about-
giving extra minutes. We have 55% of participation of the people joining us online. So if we can just bump that number, please, so everybody can participate, that would be fantastic. We have 1 minute, and I will give you a few extra seconds. I want full participation from everybody joining us online. We are at 61. All right, so let me stop here for a sec and share the results. So everybody's looking at the responses right now. So Andrea, what would you say was
About
approximately?
50%, yes, they know how to
Okay.
get a hold of their.
Perfect. So for people joining us online, 50% of the people here mentioned that they do know who the County Office of Emergency Service is. And people joining us online, you're saying that, no, I don't know, 73%. Can I throw on the bus the people who said that, yes, you know, and if you can tell me who that person is? Like the people who responded yes. Here in the room, do you know exactly who that person is?
I don't know the person.
The office.
And you know the contact information, etc. So you have it handy.
No.
No, okay. So I asked the people in the room, for my people joining us virtually, they responded yes, and I wanted to know that if they have handy phone numbers, so they're saying no. Okay, let's stop sharing here, and we're going to move into the next poll. So please look at the question number 2, and let me just stop here. And we're going to talk about question 2. Let me see, where is that one? Okay. Again, for people joining us online, take your time to respond. We're going to give you a minute, and Andrea, we're ready.
In the room for question number 2, raise your hand if you, if your facility has a current spill plan in place and you know it. Leave your hands down if no, they don't, and then give me the I don't know if you know. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Okay, 3 I don't know.
No,
I
1
don't
yes
know.
for
Yes, I
sure.
don't know.
2,
Yeah.
3 yes for sure. And 1 no. Okay,
Okay, so
3 yes, 3 I don't knows, 1 no. So
Okay.
split down the middle, yes and no,
perfect.
or yes and I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to wait until we complete the minute, and we'll share the results. We have 66% participation for people joining us online. So let me see. Okay. Okay, so just go here and the poll, and I'm going to share the results. So as you can see here, 50% of the people joining us virtually say they don't even know what the plan is. And 42 said yes, and 8% said no. And how about, do you think here?
About 50% I don't know,
Mhm.
and 50% yes.
Excellent. Perfect. Great. All right, so we're going to go to poll number 3. Let's see. Okay, bear with me. Right, excellent. So we are going to go on question 3. So people joining us virtually, take your minute to respond. And here, well, people joining us here in person, do you know what your neighboring marinas and yacht clubs currently have in terms of spill response equipment? And the reason why we're asking all these questions is because that's what we're going to be talking about today, because that's what we have learned that needs to be tuned up at the statewide level related to boating facilities. So that's why we're asking these questions. So don't feel bad, right? There's always an opportunity to improve and tune up our presentations or our protocols. All right.
So here in the room,
Mhm.
if you answer yes, just raise your hand. Okay.
Excellent. And we have 10 more seconds to go for people joining us online. All right, let me end the poll and share the results. So Andrea, what did you say
It's
here?
almost 25%. So we have 7 people, so.
Okay, perfect. And people joining us virtually, as you can see here, like 87% of your participants are saying that you don't have any clue what my neighboring marina or
That's
yacht
pretty
club has.
close to online, yeah.
Yeah, very similar to both responses. Excellent. All right. Okay, and I think I have one more. All right. One more question, which is about the reporting. How do you report an oil spill at your facility? So friends joining us virtually, please go ahead and answer the question.
Here in the room, for the top bullet, give me a number 1, middle bullet, give me a number 2, third bullet, give me a number 3. 3 3s, 3 3s, 2 2s. Okay.
Oh, I haven't shared the result. No. Are people able to see the poll online? Yes, Jenna? No? Okay.
No, not that one.
Okay, perfect. Let me just relaunch this. Just probably hold on for a sec. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. And then that one would be recording. Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll give you the full minute. Can you see it now? Perfect. All right. Okay, we're seeing your responses coming in. Perfect. I'll give you 30 more seconds. And thank you for being honest. That's good. All right, I think we got 82% response. I'll wait until we have 50 seconds. Let me just end the poll. All right. Excellent. So what did you say
So
about?
about half said they don't know, and half said that they would report to NRC and the State Warning Center.
Okay, perfect. So as we can see for virtual participation, we have 71% said yes, NRC and the State Warning Center, and almost 30% said, to be honest, I don't know. Again, that's why we're here, right? So that's great. Excellent. Perfect. So I just hope that everybody learned a little bit. We're going to be right now talking about all those questions and what the proper response will be. So don't worry about that. And then we will discuss that during the workshop. So let me tell you a little bit about how we all got here and why we have been putting together these workshops. So as a result of large scale oil spill incidents that have been happening across the state for the last few years, efforts have been made to increase communication between federal, state, local agencies, and voting facilities. And as a result, we created a working group a few years back with representatives from all the organizations and agencies you see right now in the slide, meaning we have federal agencies, state agencies, also local agencies, and representatives from both private and public marinas, as well as yacht clubs. In other words, everybody was part of this working group. As a result of the work that we did as a working group, we created a couple of things, including the packet or the toolkit that you received today, which we will be studying in more detail later on. And in addition to that, based on the recommendations for the work from the working group members, we decided to develop this kind of educational workshops to be able to communicate directly with our marinas and yacht clubs. We have been putting together, yes.
There was a question in the chat. Did you try to get PICYA involved in that one?
Yeah, as the people, if you didn't see the PICYA is the lower bottom logo from left to right. So they were there, again, private, public marinas, marinas and yacht clubs representatives, and also voters representation. So we had 25 workshops that we have been conducting across the state with over 500 participants to be able to communicate this information. And this is a work in progress. That's why for us at the end of the workshop, it's so important that you help us with your evaluation, because of course we want to hear from you, local experts, about how we can continue to improve these workshops. And the most important thing is that whatever we have been developing as part of these workshops and that working group, it has been tested. And for example, unfortunately, with some of the different spills that have happened across the state, example, like the one we have in Orange County a couple of years ago, and also the Marina del Rey, we have been able to work with the federal and state agencies. So we have a clear and transparent communication with marinas and yacht clubs in case a spill happens. So we can notify you about what the state is doing, how the state is handling that, so we can communicate you about that information. Just here. So from now on, you're going to be part of this distribution list, which is fantastic because if anything happens, crossing fingers, that's not the case, you will be receiving the information directly from the Office of Spill Prevention and Response when they communicate through me, so we can just disseminate the information to all of you, okay? Perfect. So this is the time for us to start from a bird's eye view perspective in terms of the structure of the California oil spill structure. And I want us to welcome our next speaker. And what I will do right now is to stop sharing and go to our other presentation. So let me do that. And it's all yours. Oh, up for a sec. Let me just share here the screen.
It's not sharing.
Yeah, trying just to find it right now. Right. Okay. Okay, so let me introduce you to our next speaker, Amanda. Let's get out of your way.
And I just got the word if you bring that.
Yes, and I'll be here next to you in case you need.
Pass my first.
All right. If you want to get closer, so you see yourself in this as well.
I'm
Perfect.
gonna get, right? Okay. Amanda Johnson, Department of Fish and Wildlife. I've been with the department for 11 years now. Prior to that, I was a correctional officer for 10 years with El Dorado County Sheriff's Department. And this is the best job ever, so we'll start with the first slide. It worked. All right, so can it come down a little bit or no?
Let me just.
No,
No,
So that's
that's
it.
it.
it's the bar, for your,
Oh,
that's missing.
Yeah.
gotcha.
Otherwise it's supposed to
I'm
be,
thinking it says department organization.
yes.
All right, so we have the governor, Natural Resources Agency, Department of Fish and Wildlife, and then Office of Spill Prevention and Response. That's me. And then, so we provide best achievable protection of California's natural resources by preventing, preparing for, and responding to spills of oil and restoring affected resources. Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah, that's better.
yeah. Thank you. All right. Okay.
Just,
Now it's something.
Sorry, clicking it again.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so some key events that led up to it. Platform A, Santa Barbara, California, 4 million gallons spilled, 1969. Exxon Valdez, Prince William Sound, 11 million gallons spilled.
Nineteen ninety.
Yeah, it's like 460. It is, yeah, that's the, oh, whoops, now I'm going too fast. All right, so, there's no way to fix that side, is there? Darn it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can,
you
gotta
can
be.
minimize it.
Yeah, maybe minimize it,
What do you need me to minimize?
Sorry.
just so it's not all cut off.
Okay.
Technical timeout.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Yeah.
That'll work, yes.
What do you need?
just moving the bar.
Oops.
This here too, this is our field response map on where we respond to.
What's the line, basically, is that Highway 50 separating the green and the gold?
No, this is,
The one higher, the one, yeah. See
this
that?
right here.
Yeah,
So
what,
this is the northern field response.
yeah,
That's
never
it.
mind. I was
It's
just
the northern
wondering
field response team,
what are.
and then we have central, and then we have southern. So we all go on call, and you'll have sometimes it'll be, you know, we have, like, I'll be the northern warden that's on call,
Oh, you
and then
guys.
in the back is with my OSPS, my oil spill prevention specialist, and my ES, my environmental scientist.
Cool.
So we'll work as a team for all the northern region. And then, like, if there's any Game of Thrones fan, I always say I'm the warden of the north. And then you got central, they respond to everything, so then you have the same team for central, and then you have Southern California, the same team.
But is that like a dividing line? Is it like Highway 80 or something?
I
I'm
don't
trying to
think
figure
it's
out what that
a
is.
highway, it's the,
Like, what's that line?
It's by county, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And are people in the virtual room, being able to hear the question? If anybody can unmute yourself and tell us, so we will make sure that you guys are also listening.
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
okay, so what gave us our jurisdiction, 1990, Lampert, Keynes, Sea Strand, Petroleum, Marine Waters. No, I don't think my clicker's gonna.
Sorry, on the thing.
Yeah.
There we go, statewide expansion in 2014, renewable fuels expansion.
So there's five colors on the map. Can you?
So yeah,
explain
so
that?
so all of here is the northern field response team. And then we've also now taken on Monterey, so this used to be in central and now it's northern. And then central FRT, and then this is the new one that Southern took on too, the central, so all of Southern.
Okay.
And then where to read the dispatch region. So yeah, so it's basically your northern, your central, and your southern.
Okay, the other two are Sexton.
Yeah, the reason why this is a new one that we took on, so central used to respond to this and now northern's taken it on. And then the same with Ventura. Now it's.
A stupid question, but the 1990 Lambert Keene Sea Strand Petroleum, was that a law or a decision? When you said that's where you got the jurisdiction?
So yeah, so that's our jurisdiction. So from that, that's where we,
Got authority.
yeah.
Thank you.
More pictures of just things that we deal with. We can deal with, pipelines, any sort of rail incidents. We have the grasshoppers down there in Southern California, tankers, all sorts of incidents that we deal with on a daily basis. Any sort of petroleum that goes in the state waters, we are gonna deal with it.
Including refineries?
Yes.
The
Mhm.
question was including refineries, and the response is yes. Sorry.
Oh,
just
thank
to
you.
make sure.
Lead response agency, trustee agency, one of the only state agencies in the nation that has major pollution response authority and public trustee authority for wildlife and habitat. Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, so pollution response, incident command, and criminal investigation. That's up there when we used to have the green patrol trucks. That's me in the passenger seat and a warden, Paul Zararsky. That was us when we were responding to Refugio down in Santa Barbara County. OSPR functions, prevention, preparedness, response, restoration. The restoration picture, that was Warden Ryan Thiem. That was with the Iron Horse Trail. It was over in, what county was that in?
Walnut Creek.
Yeah, it was over in Walnut Creek. That was his case, and I think I don't recognize it, the other ones. So this is our field response team, our FRT. This was just recently, and you'll recognize Cheetos right over there. He was our OSPS on this case, and that's Andy. He was our environmental scientist. And so basically you have three, every time you're on call or responding to something, you have your wildlife officer, your environmental scientist, and your oil spill prevention specialist. And this was just recently with the Kaisi sailboat over in Alameda. It was a really awesome looking sailboat, and the case was, the responsible party was very cooperative. It was a great case, and it was a good one to work on.
Do you have an update?
The last, Cheeto, did you get an update on the salvage of it?
Don't, I got my notice. I heard Power Engineering is the one who's gonna do it.
Okay,
But they permanently fence it right now, not just like a caution tape. So just to make.
Oh,
sure
that's great.
traffic won't wander off in there, just in case. something happens.
lose and stuff.
Yeah.
One of the-
Will you repeat that?
Yeah,
yeah, so one of the big problems we had with that case was people were just wanting to, the masks were hanging over the public sidewalk, and people were wanting to go investigate, take pictures, and it was creating a public safety issue. And so now Cheeto said that they put up permanent, like they had caution tape, but it wasn't really, people were ducking under it. So now there's a permanent fencing, you said?
Yes.
So there's permanent fencing there, so while they're still conducting salvage of the vessel. We concluded with nothing was in the tanks, so that was good. The only part that spilled was part from the engine
Yeah.
room, and it was very minimal. So that case could have been, because it was full capacity for that sailboat was 10,000 gallons, but the owner deemed that there was maybe 400 gallons on board.
Mhm.
And so it could have been a lot worse. So it was mitigated really well, and there was no oiled wildlife or anything like that. So that was great.
What happened exactly?
What's that?
What happened?
They don't know what happened that caused it, but there was a lot of stuff floating down. So I mean, it could have been any number of things that caused that breach.
Do you have the ability to extract the fluids if they were?
Can you-
the oil? So that would be better for.
So what we do is,
come forward.
Yeah, Michael, go to the-
So he's our oil spill.
Yeah, and we're going to repeat the question
He's our
for people
environmental
joining
scientist.
us virtually. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, repeat the
I mean, he's
question,
our,
Michael.
yeah. oil spill.
So, for the question, we'll sting the tank, fuel tank, and figure out how much exactly is in there. And we'll we do that, or we'll have a contractor do it. So we'll have a environmental contractor come in, figure out how much is on there, you know, you have crankcase, engines, hydraulic, some of them have hydraulic fluid. So we'll go in, figure out how much and when the last time he fueled. And we'll ask for the receipt, because in our investigation, we need to know how much is in that, on that boat. And then we'll proceed to offload that, and that's haz waste, and then, quantify it to get it the exact amount, and then we'll figure out how much was released and how long he was sunk, and take it from there.
That's after the boat's refloated, you do.
So, sometimes we'll do it, but we try to do it after they bring it up and figure it out, but we still have to know how much. So, but yes,
That brings me to a quick question, because I was looking at the slides Vivian gave us in the poll. How much oil is in the water before it's called a spill? Is it a-
Yeah.
one drop.
It is one drop,
If
yeah.
it, or even if you're
Remembered,
if
yeah.
you're fueling.
Yeah.
And it overflows, make the call.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're gonna be charged or you're the responsible party, just make the call so that we get notified, we get. You know, if you call 911 and say, hey, the fire department, Alameda Fire comes out, and it'll go out and we get notified. So,
Thanks.
yeah, one drop, make the call, and,
I thought you had said that before. in the
Yeah.
past.
yeah.
And I want to recommend, if we can please hold the questions.
Okay.
As I mentioned, and I want to emphasize that in the agenda, so we allow the presentation to move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, so now I'm getting into our rules. So it's great when we have two OSPSs, and then we have, so they are gonna be the ones that are quantifying the oil. I'm gonna be investigating the case, deciding if I'm gonna file. And that one case with Kaisi, I did not file on that. But there are cases that we'll file on, so that's what the wildlife officer is gonna be working on. And then you have your environmental scientist that's gonna be looking at if there's anything oiled, bird or fish wise. So this is, the big picture is a bunch of oil spill response wardens, or wildlife officers. We're state peace officers. And, when we are involved in an incident, we're the state on-scene coordinator, the incident commander. A lot of times we'll work with, Coast Guard, they'll be our federal on-scene coordinator, and then if it's inland, we're work with EPA. So I'm a criminal investigator, and there's me and another warden, we were doing training, so all of us got together for training. This is the pollution response rule environmental scientist. So they're an environmental unit leader, ICS, wildlife branch director, established resource at risk, shoreline cleanup and assessment, cleanup and monitoring and assessment, and determine cleanup endpoints. This is one of our environmental scientists, Haley Carol Cole. She's rescuing a bird right here, and then that's us, we were boarding a pet coke, bulker, in Benicia, I believe that was. And that was prior to COVID. We had the mask on because the pet coke was so fine. This is our oil spill prevention specialist. So what we have here today, initial site safety officer, operations staff, air monitoring responders, hazardous waste quantification, which Calgary just spoke of, salvage operations, maritime pipeline subject matter experts, and casual analysis. Causal analysis. So this is, easier to get up here. So this is our incident command, FRT, and oil spill unified command. So you have the investigator, that's me. This is our unified command, NRDA, and then it goes down to public information officer, liaison, site safety officer. Then you go down to your operations section, your wildlife branch, your planning section, environmental unit, logistics section, and finance admin section. So wildlife officer here, oil spill prevention there, and environmental scientist there. The whole system, when you see it, the first time I got to see it was at Refugio down in Santa Barbara. And it's amazing to see how it works, and it works, it goes very smooth, and it's a beautiful thing to see the whole system working. This is OSPR notification process. So notification must be made to the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services State Warning Center. CDFW OSPR is notified on every Cal OES report made in the state. So I get if it's dealing with any sort of petroleum into the state waters, then that's when I deal with it. It'll go to a district warden if it's any sort of chemical or sewage. So this is the report my dispatcher sends to me, and I will respond to any sort of incidents with petroleum in the water. This was the CAISI OSPR initial action, so we do an initial assessment of the site, request of additional responders, site safety, establish incident command, federal responsible party. And this one I was on with Cheeto, or SPS there. Incident conclusion, terminate emergency phase response, determine environmental endpoints, document environmental damage, restoration, and post-incident issues, after action report, civil litigation. And then is this going into?
That
No.
goes into Mike.
Yeah,
It's going into yours. So that is it on, from a wildlife officer's point of view, and if you have any questions.
yeah, exactly. We're taking care of questions. Let's see if I can stop sharing. And I want to give the priority to people joining us virtually. So we just covered, as you saw, the structure of the California oil spill responses structure, like the role, the interaction between federal, state, and local agency, and the role, of course, that OSPR plays. So any questions from people joining us virtually about this section before we move into the next section? And I want to give priority to you guys. And first, also check if sound is okay. Everybody virtually is doing okay? Yeah, can you give me a sign? Yeah, they're saying yes. Okay.
Doing good.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions that you have? Jenna, do you have any
Nothing in the
questions?
chat.
Nothing in the chat. Okay, so I will like to open it up for questions here in the room.
I just wanted to
Oh, yeah.
make sure that because might have missed something. You were saying, so when you do a response, you have the on-scene person, which is
Mhm.
you, then you have or rather, you're the state peace officer.
Yep.
And then they have an on-scene person and then a criminal investigator. Were you saying that the on-scene person, if it's in federal water, could be the Coast Guard? If it's in state, it's somebody else? I forgot. You said.
So, if, it all depends on if, like, what Coast Guard's doing too. Like, if I'm investigating this, that we could both be working on it. I'm just my state authority and their, so.
Are you asking for clarification between the state and, between Coast Guard and EPA?
Well, that's what she said. the
Oh,
EPA
so that's
said it
for
could be-
inland, so when
yeah,
Coast
inland
Guard's
is
not,
EPA.
so yeah, so
Thank
like
you.
Iron Horse Trail, we worked with EPA, was our federal counterpart.
Thank you.
Cause there's certain jurisdictions that the EPA handles
Mhm.
versus the Coast
Coast
Guard
Guard.
versus us. So we'll
Yep.
be on a case together with the Coast Guard, but then if it goes inland, it's EPA
Yeah.
jurisdiction.
And we
So-
were working on Iron Horse Trail, that was us and EPA was working on
EPA, yeah.
that, so
Yeah.
we
Partners.
worked together, yeah, partners. So, yeah, it's like our on water partner and our inland partner.
Okay.
But you're always the common link.
We are one of the main but they can be too.
But yeah, so what'll happen is if we respond to a case and the Coast Guard shows up, they decide, okay, we're gonna federalize it.
Mhm.
That's what we call it. They're gonna pay for the cleanup, pay for get the boat out of the water.
Cause
We
the
step
person's
back.
not taking responsibility,
Yeah,
the
we
responsible
take-
party is not, they don't have insurance, they
Yep.
said we have to step away. So then
Ah.
Coast Guard goes and federalizes it.
Yeah.
People joining us virtually, were you able to hear the responses? Okay? Okay, thank
Yes.
you. for-
Yes.
Thank you for responding. All right, any other question?
Yeah, I'm representing PICYA and a yacht club. And we get a lot of questions about the boats that are sinking out here.
Yeah, the derelict must.
Yeah, and I know that that's a jurisdictional nightmare.
Yeah,
Can you kind of summarize, like, when you decide to take it out, which agencies are in charge?
So,
Should we get
If there's
involved?
pollution that's on it, that's our state authority. We're gonna make sure we mitigate the pollution. Once the pollution's gone, just like I had a case up in, if you're familiar with Half Moon Bay, the Caleb up there. That was a
Yeah.
big issue with that tug and
Story.
once, yes, it's quite the story. And I had to deal with the Colt that was on there, the Zizians, and I boarded the vessel
No.
with NOAA and Coast Guard, and I also took a drug recognition expert from San Mateo SO because I didn't know what I was getting involved in. And we boarded that vessel, and that was an interesting case. And once they removed the pollution, so Coast Guard removed pollution. Once it's removed, it's deemed marine salvage, then we step away from it, just like with the Kaisi, we stepped away once pollution was deemed not a threat.
So what there is there's an abandoned derelict vessel program, but like Sacramento, you live in Antioch, you said?
No, I live here.
Oh, okay, so, Sac County, San Joaquin County has an abandoned derelict vessel program. Then they'll pay for getting the vessel out of the water, and also if it's in a navigable waterway. It has to be, cause you have vessels coming and going,
Yeah.
so.
They only do that for, not commercial vessels, but privately owned vessels, right?
No, I think, I'm not sure about that, but if it's abandoned, they'll, San Joaquin County, Sac County, they have a big budget. So a lot of Contra Costa County, you can look up online or something, they might have a link to the abandoned derelict vessel, but definitely Sacramento and San Joaquin County that I've experienced, dealt with. I don't know about you, Gito, but yeah, they just have a budget to get rid of those, cause it's bad, doesn't look
Yeah.
good.
And it's great, those
I
agencies
wanted to
that-
remind you that the Division of Boating and Waterways has the SAFE program,
Oh, yeah,
where the
Yes.
counties apply to get that money to be able to remove those vessels. There are some requirements, and also it's not an unlimited funding. So if you have any questions about that program, you can easily use your favorite browser and just say SAFE program for California, and even all the grantees, meaning all the counties, are listed there. So for example, sometimes it's here in Alameda, right? That there was a big issue a few years back, and there was a fantastic group of people put together by one of our previous fantastic marine operators who retired. And they were able to pool resources, not only from the Division of Boating and Waterways, but also from the EPA, and remove a bunch of the estuary abandoned vessels. So we know at a statewide level, there's a limited funding and tons of boats that need to be removed. But it's not only in California, it's a national problem, actually. But the state is working towards that. So check that program. It has limited resources because, again, it's only for recreational boats. State Lands Commission has another pot of funding that they can use to remove some commercial vessels, but again, it's also limited. So, yes.
Also, and online, give me a thumbs up if you have heard of the area committee meetings. Give me a thumbs up so that you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, okay, great, awesome. Area committee meetings are a great place. They have a derelict and abandoned vessel work group where you can get more information about what's going on in your area for those vessels, particularly impacting your specific area.
Who runs that?
Area committee meetings.
And we're
So
going
for
to
this
talk
is
about that.
correct.
Yeah.
So area committee, this is ACP2. And so we can get you some more information. I can get your contact information from Vivian, and I can get you in touch with who your ACP2 coordinator is.
Yeah, and for those people who are joining us and also here, we were talking about the area contingency plan, or is the committee.
meeting.
We are going to send you that information in a follow-up email, and also we're talking about that later on, so you know what are they talking about, so we know in more detail. Yes.
We had a question online about what agency handles the military base.
Ooh.
So we don't board, for one, when it comes to Coast Guard, we don't board Coast Guard vessels. That's federal. We don't board, Navy vessels. Concord Naval Weapons Station, those are civilian vessels. They have a contract with the Navy to bring ammunition wherever they go. I board those. They have a contingency plan. They have to have an oil spill plan, so we cover that, but the Coast Guard, military vessels, we do not We don't have anything to do with those.
Vivian, maybe take one more question because we're a little behind.
Yeah. One more question from virtual people want to give you the priority? No, you guys are doing okay? Excellent,
There's a question. there.
excellent, yes.
So, it should be pretty quick, but I've experienced, at Oakland Yacht Club, abandoned boats that were moving. And in the first case, a member grabbed the boat and put it in a slip because it was cruising down the estuary
Oh, yeah,
by itself,
okay.
no one on it. Well, all of a sudden, we own that boat as the yacht club, so we have to deal with getting rid of it. The second one, we let go by. So can you kind of like? It doesn't, I mean,
What do you do?
doing the right thing costs us a
Yeah,
lot of money.
It does, and that's the unfortunate.
See if you
thing.
can get a hold of, one of the grant programs that's,
Yeah.
and, that's Alameda County.
Yeah.
And
Salamina
get,
County.
go to the website, see if you can get that, yeah, cause not, now you guys will respond, not saying
Yeah.
don't do it, but you don't want the thing floating down and
I
then
see
all
your
of a sudden it's
frustration
in.
with that.
Yeah,
in
and
the-
the only
in the-
person that knew that it was not the right thing to do was the
Yeah,
club
yeah,
manager.
but,
He's
yeah.
the one that has to get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah, see if there's a program with Alameda County to get rid of that abandoned derelict vessel and tell them the situation,
And I can send you late this afternoon, when I send you the follow-up email, the link to the grantees, the current grantees, so you can contact them.
that'd be nice.
We know that there is a limiting factor there, and sometimes you guys are tied up, so we want to provide you with those resources as well. Okay,
Great.
excellent. So I'm going to move on. Thank you so much, Amanda. I'm going to move on into the next section of our presentation, so bear with me for a sec. All right. Hold on for a sec. Where are you guys here? Okay. So we're going now to talk about the toolkit. So that's the handout we're going to be using now. So you're kind enough just to have it handy. Again, the toolkit was one of the, and I just sec. Just see if I can do this here.
You do more
Yeah,
hide floating controls,
what do you say? Sorry.
hide floating controls.
Hide loading control. Thank you. Perfect. Excellent. All right. Excellent. So I'm going to be talking again about the toolkit, or as I call it, the packet component. So the first 2 pages of that document that you received today, and also make sure people online have access to that link, basically explains to you how this toolkit was developed, components, and in addition to that, it will remind you how important it is to expand your education in terms of learning about other interactions that the federal and state agencies and local agencies have by checking, for example, the incident command system courses, and also how important it is for marinas and yacht clubs to have a staff train as part of the first responder awareness and first responder operations. One thing that I wanted to highlight is sometimes when I talk to my friends with the yacht clubs, you guys feel like, oh, why am I doing this? What is the interest that I have? And remember that in your facility, like in this beautiful facility, you do have motorized vessels. So you can have a spill here, or you can be impacted by an outside spill. So all of these resources are being brought to you with the purpose of being ready. Remember, to be proactive and to prevent is the cheapest way to control pollution. The next page in your toolkit is about the resources that you should have handy in case a spill happens outside of your facility, right? So let's think about the horrible incident with Costco Busan, right? A lot of the marinas didn't know what am I supposed to do and started calling the Coast Guard, and it triggered a horrible mess. We don't want you guys, if that happens, to do that because you are disrupting the structure. You just heard how the structure works. The first line of communication for you at your local level, that's why we ask you that question in the poll, is your county office of emergency, your county office of emergency service. That's why it is important for you that this afternoon or whenever you have the time, go back and identify at your county level who that person is so you have it handy and ready to go. That would be your first line of communication. Then you can have two more resources. One, if Cal Spill Watch, which is managed by the Office of Spill Prevention and Response, great website, and they always try to include information as long as it is available and they are ready to share it with the public. And also to follow OSPR, Office of Spill Prevention and Response. So from now on, I'm going to be calling them like that. In Twitter or X, they are very active and they always feed the public with information as long as they have that information available.
And Instagram.
And Instagram too, now that we have all of that. So again, these are your line of resources in case a spill happens outside of your facility and you need to know the latest and greatest, okay? And this is applicable, I'm just remembering all the questions that we get in the workshops, all over the state. Sometimes my friends who are in inland areas feel like, oh, they're talking about the Bay Area and the coast. No, this is a statewide information that we want everybody to be able to have access to. The next component of your toolkit, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, is just for you to know because Andrea will be talking in more detail about that, is about the Office of Spill Prevention and Response Equipment Grants. Frequently asked questions. This is a great program and super easy to apply and to get as long as you fulfill the requirements. And it will tell you what kind of public agencies qualify for this purpose. So my friends who are here with a private marina or yacht club are thinking, oh, great, I'm excluded. It turns out that Andrea and her team are very creative, as long as they can, to probably put you in touch with local agencies that can fulfill their requirements. So for example, like the port districts or a fire department, so you can work with them at local level to be able to access those grants. She will be talking about also what kind of equipment is included, the fact that it's personalized and the training that is involved. So I let her talk about that in her section. I'm just telling you that this packet has all this information so you know where to go. In addition to that, we told you that it's extremely important as part of your proactive approach that you know what your county has in terms of a spill response equipment. One thing that you need to do is, for example, check the current grantees from the Office of Spill Prevention and Response. All these links you're thinking, Vivian, how am I going to access this if I have a hard copy? This afternoon or tomorrow, when I send you the follow-up email, you're going to have the access to those resources so you can save them in your inbox. These will give you, again, the list of the current grantees from the Office of Spill Prevention and Response. But that's not the full amount of response equipment your county has. In order to know that, contact your county Office of Emergency Contact. And also, that's why we are asking you, make sure you develop a sense of community. Ask your neighboring marinas or yacht clubs what you have, and let me tell you what I have. That was a very unique situation. A few years back in Costco, some people didn't have any clue what was going on. They were driving to get boom when it wasn't needed. Again, we're sharing all this information based on people like you who were part of our working group. So we're giving you the information to avoid a situation like that in the future. Another resource at the county level that you could have handy is the oil spill response organizations. These are organizations that are in charge of responding to a spill, and they are evaluated by the Office of Spill Prevention and Response. It's an extra resource. All that information is in your packet. And no worries, you will get that information electronically this afternoon. Another component of the packet is the spill notification. So we ask you, how do you notify a spill that happens in your facility? If I'm not mistaken, it seems like 50% of the people knew and 50% didn't know. Based on the working group, members like you, they told us, let's create a resource phone tree so you can have it in your facility so people have it handy. This is a resource phone tree that we want you to review with your staff every 6 months, because sometimes the staff changes, and it's telling you what the required notification or phone numbers you are required to use in case you need to report a spill, and what recommended notification should be included. Let's remember, the required notification should be the National Response Center or the State Warning Center. We're including the phone numbers right there. Let's say that you are in the middle of an emergency and you are forgetting to call one or the other when you should call both. It doesn't matter. Both are linked, right? So always have those phone numbers together, but if you forget one or the other, just calling one or the other will make the trip. We are also including a blue box that tells you the following information. We want you to report a spill because reporting a spill not always creates a fine. The point that the state and federal agencies want you to report a spill is just to evaluate if there's a need to respond, because it could be a threat to human health or the natural resources. Not every single reporting generates a fine, but we want the public to understand that it is based on the law that you are required to report the spills. Anything that causes a sheen or a film on the water is and should be reported. And sorry if you don't agree or agree with us, sorry, that was how the law was written, and that's what we need to follow, okay? We are also including recommended notifications. Some of you are like, oh, I just only remember 911. So that's totally fine, but you should be calling the first 2 phone numbers that I'm telling you, even though all of them are linked. Also, we are including some of the Coast Guard different sectors. We are also including in your toolkit as a recommendation to have the boating facility or yacht club manager phone number. And also, if that person is not working that day, who's the second in command who needs to be notified if that happens. Based on the working group, we were told that it's important that all the facilities also have notification and current phone numbers if you're a public agency for the city mayor or the city council, because sometimes you have to go through all these crazy notification. For your resources, we're including also the Oil Wildlife Care Network in case there are oil animals involved. And also we have additional resources, like including your phone tree that should be, again, updated every 6 months and in an area that is easy to see by all the staff, like salvaging companies, divers, vessel assist, and also nearby boatyards. So I want to know how many of you have a very detailed phone tree like this. That was just, okay, couple of you. And I don't know, my people joining online, hopefully you can use this, because this would be the goal, that you can go back to your facility and during staff meetings, evaluate these kind of resources. Now, what questions are you going to be asked when you have to call and report a spill? We had the homework of just putting here the information that you are going to be required to provide. So in order to make your reporting more efficiently, make sure that you collect all this information before you call. If you are the responsible party, you have 30 minutes to do the reporting, right? So it's important that you try to collect as much information as possible and leave your cell phone, because if you are outside collecting the information, or it's easier for the authorities just to reach to you in case that's the case. Another component of the toolkit would be the third-party claim process for both private and public agencies. So we talk, as Amanda clearly explained, that the Office of Spill Prevention and Response is working under the Incident Command system, and they are the lead agency to respond to oil spills in waters of the state, right? So depending on that structure and the different functions, there will be some funding available. In this case, we're including all the definitions, what kind of a stake, who is the responsible party, the funds that could be involved. And also because we're dealing with private organizations, we are also including in terms of you as a private organization, what kind of funding you could have access to as long as the incident commands activate that structure, right? And we're including here some components of those resources or expenses that you can be reimbursed. So you can follow that information. We're not going into detail because that information is pretty self-explanatory once the system gets activated. We asked you during the fall section about a spill response, and this is one of our key issues here today, right? We want you to make sure that you have a current spill response plan. Some of you again feel like, hey, I'm a yacht club, I don't have any clue why I have to have this. This is very important that every single boating facility has in California one of these plans. And we are including here the examples of the components that you should have in place. There are some facilities based on law that are required to have those spill response plans in place. So for example, if you have a above ground aggregated capacity of oil greater than 1,320 gallons or underground over 40,000, by law, you are required to have this spill plan. Like for example, fuel docks, and you will file that plan with your county on an annual basis, right? But here the goal is, please have your spill response plan in place because you do deal with motorized vessels or visits from members who have motorized vessels. And these particular plans should have different components. So for example, I'm going to focus our attention on the water response. For example, first to assess the magnitude of the spill, identify what material has been spilled. If it's gasoline, for example, you all know that it's pretty hazardous, volatile, and flammable. In that case, some of the steps that you have to take in consideration as well as your staff is just to evacuate the area immediately, clear the area, and do the reporting, right? Because gasoline is pretty flammable. The reporting is included in your resource phone tree, so you're kind of ready for that. If it's not gasoline, you can continue with steps 3 to 7. For example, okay, I have a staff that is trained with the proper training, with the proper protective equipment. Make sure that you contain the spill, that you do the reporting, and that you properly dispose of the material that you're using for containment. And we're also including some recommendations for you in case there's bilge contaminated with diesel or other materials. We recommend you that this kind of templates or models, you try to review them every 6 months to a year, because again, things happen, things change, and a great opportunity for you to also check if you have all your trainings up to speed. And finally, emergency response plan. So we have been talking about not only oil-related emergency plans, but it's important that every single facility has response plans for human health situations, for earthquakes, for floods, for fires, etc. And that the entire staff, not only you, knows where those plans are. When we were working in the working group, we realized that a lot of people, as an exercise, brought their emergency plans, and they were like 600 pages or 60 pages.
Yeah.
People are not going to go over 60 pages in the middle of the emergency, right? So it's very good that you keep it succinct to the point, and some of the components that you must have in your response plan includes, for example, the site plan, exit points, entry points, where are the valves, the pipes, the shut-off nozzles, where are the different access points to the marina, if you have a sewage compound, a fuel dock, among others. Where is your storm, where are your storm drains? And you can get that information from your city, for example. Also, develop a spill response inventory list. Make sure that, first of all, you know where all that response materials are. who has the key, if it's up to date, what kind of items you have per item, vendors to also replace that material, fire extinguisher, and also we are recommending, and this is a very good general rule for you to keep in mind, because we get these questions a lot with Andrea, like, how many booms, etc., should we have in our facility? One of the recommendation, it is ideal to have at least 2 times the length of the largest vessel or more in your facility to be able to have proper material. That's why it's also important for you to know what my other neighboring marinas have in case I don't have those resources. At least you can reach out to them, right? A specific action stating who in your staff has to do what. That's why important phone numbers are included, among others. We are including in your toolkit some of the recommended spill cleanup materials for marinas and yacht clubs. You can buy those packets in a lot of the marine supply stores or also online for very reasonable value. And remember, they last for a long time, so it's a good investment. In the toolkit, we are also including some refreshers for you about the fact that it is illegal to use soaps or detergents or dispersing agents in case of a spill happens at any state waters. And we wanted to emphasize that. In the previous workshop, we got a lot of questions about this. Of course, we will have time for your questions, but this is a good refresher because sometimes people are like, wait, what? It is illegal? Yes, it is very illegal to use that kind of materials. Later on, you will be receiving an email showing you where this toolkit is, so you can have access to all the hyperlinks that right now look like a little bit crazy. They are found in the Office of Spill Prevention and Response website. There's a specific tab for marinas and yacht clubs, and that information, as well as Andrea and my information, is included there. And just to wrap up my section of the presentation, let's remember that you guys as boating facilities are extremely important in our state, but you are considered under the spill response world, what we call the an economic sensitive site, meaning that you are a third in the list of the priorities. First is the priorities to protect human health and safety. The second priority is to protect natural resources, but you are also important. But it's not, the response is not going to be directed to you specifically. First, we have to check the other 2 priorities, right? Make sure that you reach out to your county. Make sure that they know you exist and that you are part of the county oil spill contingency plan. That's why we asked you that question, and you saw that a lot of you didn't know who your county representative is. Make sure that you also go back to your staff and share this information. And this is what Andrea was saying about the area contingency plan. Don't worry, this afternoon I'll be sending you all this information. These are great meetings that happen across the state depending on your region. And we have people from Southern California, of course, joining us today. And this is great because you can learn about how the federal agencies, the state agencies, local agencies, and the industry works. A great opportunity for you to interact with them. You don't have to go to every single meeting, but being part of the distribution list is pretty important. We will be sending you all this information later on, so you have it there. Another resource you have is to participate in the drill calendars. OSPR has every year many of those where you can go as an observer and see how amazingly California works in terms of preparing for that, and get excited because most of the time the other states look at California and how well structured they are to copy what we're doing, because here is very strict. All right, so let me stop there for a sec to see if we have any questions before we go into the break. Let me stop here and see. I want to take questions from people virtually first. I don't know, Jenna.
Nothing in the chat yet.
Nothing in the chat yet. People joining us virtually, if you want to unmute yourself and ask any questions so far about the structure and the toolkit you receive, let us know before we go into a 10-minute break. Any questions there? No, Charles is very serious, as well as Terry and Alan. Everybody okay? Surviving? Excellent. Terry, I think you are muted. If you're trying to speak, you can unmute yourself. Sorry.
How about this? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Great. Great presentation. And it's super to see all the new folks being an old timer with the area committee that are now taking on the thing, Vivian. Listen, I wanted to find out if there were any or would be covered any recommended sources for finding resources for the marinas for spill kits.
So thank you, Terry, and thank you for the question. We, as I mentioned, I included some of the actual items that you can buy. We cannot tell you exactly where to buy them because that will be like endorsing a particular company. However, any of the absorbents that are found at marine supply stores are pretty valid because they are inert, and they are approved by the state to be used in case of a spill. So if you go ahead and look at the list of the recommended booms, absorbents, dimensions, etc., that we included in the toolkit, you can go to any marine supply store or online and buy them as long as they are contained, right? We want to emphasize that in California, it is illegal to use any loose material on the water for a spill response. So it's pretty straightforward. You can even look, Terry, online, which I have done that couple of times, and they cost between $200 and $400, like a spill kit for marinas from different companies. That I'm, of course, not allowed to exactly mention the name of the company because I will be endorsing them, but pretty straightforward to find them.
I know that several years ago, there were a source that the state was putting together a package that was going to be available for marinas, but that was several years ago. So I didn't know if that program was still going forward. I guess it isn't.
No, so when Andrea presents the spill response equipment grant, she's going to be able to tell you, for example, if you get the trailer fulfilling all the grant requirements, what material will be included there. But no, the state hasn't had any program to provide the actual spill kits directly to marinas. And Jenna has a response, Jenna.
This was related to a question, so that's separate. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. No problem, Terry. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
So, on that list, that Vivian was talking about, you can get for you guys who manage marinas, it's called it's yellow and it's a 95-gallon overpack. But like she said, we can't endorse a company and tell you, okay, go to this company. You can look online, look up 96-gallon overpack. It's yellow, it sticks out. You can write spill response on it. And a lot of companies set it on the dock so that people have access to it if there's a spill, and you can roll the sausage boom inside it, put pads in there, put equipment in there, PPE, so everything on this list. So you guys everybody will have access to it.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward to find it. Yes, Jen.
Yeah, there was the question in the chat regarding marinas on military bases. Are there any agencies that should be contacted first? And I believe the answer is NRC and Cal OES, regardless of where you are.
Exactly. So repeating the question for the chat, the marina on military bases, are there any agencies that can be contacted first? No, the entire structure is always the NRC and the State Warning Center. And remember, if you forget one or the other, just call one of them and they are linked and they immediately will trigger all the chain of responses that we want. So we are running a little bit late, but we need to have a short break. So I'm going to set up here a 10-minute timer. Let's see if I can just find it here. Apps here.
Maybe after the break, you can kind of explain to me, I had a little training with being a vessel examiner, and the packet they give us for spills or whatever. I just wanted to know how that compared with the spill kit, that's all.
So you're saying the California Boater Kit from the Dock Walker program?
Yeah, I just wondered how they compared, that's all.
Yeah, no, that boater kit is for boaters. So it's for boaters to prevent oil or bilge discharges or fuel discharges. For marinas is a different thing, because of course marinas are dealing sometimes with hundreds of boats. So
So
if you look at the list that is included in the packet that I listed there, what is recommended, some of the absorbents that you receive in the boater kit are included in that list for marinas, but of course they have to get more.
That's fine, thanks.
Okay, and we can talk. So I'm going to set up here the 10-minute timer. Please come back in 10 minutes. And for people who are joining us online, please have handy and ready the handout that is entitled Exercise Spill, and we will start in 10 minutes. Thank you. For people joining us virtually, we're starting in 3 minutes, so please be back on time. We're running a little bit late because they're having great questions, so we want to make sure that we try to wrap it up on time. We may steal some few more minutes from your precious time.
Yeah, it's, like I said, it's, deep.
Oh. Wait a minute.
Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, and so for people here also in the room,
Is it as pretty as this? Wow.
Yeah.
And I love all the classes, you know.
They run this-
Downstairs.
Yeah, they run the summer school.
okay, so for people, please, let's go ahead and get started again.
Wow.
So people in the room here, please have handy this handout. We're going to be working on this exercise. And for our friends in the virtual room, please make sure that
I'm not picking up
you have
delegate
from the link that I just shared with you, access to the
Then.
what's the name of that? The handout that is called the spill exercise, please.
Yeah,
Downstairs and.
and my wife's on the board.
And before we started, I wanted to go back to Dave,
Never get
and
to see
also there was another question from one of our partner dog walkers who are also in Charles, Dave and Charles. So let me refresh your memory. The dog walker program is specifically to conduct face-to-face boater education. So you are receiving the boater kit that some of you call it the spill kit for the boater to be utilized. The difference with the spill kit that we are mentioning here for the marinas is that the marinas, of course, will have some of those components the boaters will use, but in bigger capacity and in different sizes, okay? So that's my pleasure, my pleasure. All right, so let's
Okay,
go
guys,
ahead
we're
and
gonna
get started,
We're gonna
please.
get started. It just gets a little confusing with the dual rooms here, so we wanna kind of limit the side talk. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right, now we gotta put our big brains on. We're gonna dip into our investigative brains. Again, my name is Andrea Moore. I work for the Office of Spill Prevention and Response. Full disclosure, I am not a scientist, nor am I an oil spill prevention specialist. So, oil is not my jam, but I'm gonna fake it today. So, I've been doing this for 15 years, so by osmosis, I'm going to be your expert for this game that we are playing. Okay, so we're just gonna become oil spill detectives today, just to try to get to know what oil might look like in the wild, right? And are we looking at oil? Is it not oil? And how we can kind of recognize kind of from that bird's eye view of whether or not this is an organic something or whether or not it is in fact oil. Because there are a lot of organic compounds in the wild that look like oil and they're not in fact oil. So here we go. Online, your pages, hopefully you guys have printed those up so that you can see larger pictures of them in your poll. Vivian's gonna help run the poll for me while I work with the people in the room. So here we have a picture on the left and a picture on the right. So if you can tell me if the picture on the left, and the picture on the right are oil, are they both oil? Is one oil, one's not oil? Let me know. So for those of you in the room, my right, raise your hand if that's oil.
And sorry, for people virtually, please look at the handout. That's why we send it to you separately, because in the poll, the picture is going to be really tiny. So make sure that you please look at the picture from the handout and scroll down to respond. I'll give you 30 more seconds while
And then
Andrea.
if you could lower or reduce the poll so that people in the room, oh, you guys have your handouts.
Yeah,
Okay, so picture on my right, is that oil? Raise your hand. Okay, 1 says yes, 2, 3 say yes. How about the picture on my left? So in your picture, it's on your right, I think. Yes, is that oil?
I mean, is
On
it
the-
the green ook or what might be a sheen in the dark bit? That we're looking at?
So you're looking at I can't turn mine because mine has the
Oh.
answer. So point to what,
Well, I mean, this, I would say no, but this, I'm trying to figure out if I'm looking at a sheen or
well,
not.
I'm gonna leave that up to your interpretation.
Okay.
Okay.
okay, I'm going to
So,
end the poll.
Is there oil in picture number 1 on the left side of the page? And is there oil in the picture on the right side of the page?
And I'm sharing the resource,
Okay.
the responses from there. So
Okay.
let's go with the room.
Okay, so in the room, on the left side of the page, is that oil? Raise your hand. Okay, I have 3 yeses and some undecideds. And how about on the right side of the page? Is that oil? I have 1 yes. Okay, and how are we doing online?
You can check there. So we
Okay,
have.
So we have on the left, we have 27 yes. Yes, that it's the right side, both photos 27 and 9% say neither. Okay, so the photo on the left, can we go ahead and close the poll? Stop sharing.
Mhm.
The photo on the left with this like isthmus bar of organic grass, this is oil.
Really?
Yep, that's oil. This here, this is oil.
That is oil, okay.
Is that like thick oil, like the wall? A lot of oil.
This is a lot of oil, yeah. Not necessarily California either. This could be Florida, Louisiana, don't know where this is a NOAA photo, okay? National
Oh.
Oceanic Atmospheric. So how about this one? Was this oil? This is not oil. This is an algal bloom. Okay, so that's algae just under the surface of the water. It moves a lot like water, right? So as the wave motion goes, as the water moves, that algae moves with it. So it moves a lot like oil. Okay, next page.
Hard to tell these.
It is very hard, and the pictures aren't great, but they're the best we've got. All right. So this next page, we've got this kind of colorful photo here. So on my left, in my photo, on the left, is that one oil for the folks in the room? On the left? 1 yes. Now you're all nervous to say yes. Okay.
Yeah.
2 yes, some undecided. How about the one on the right? Kind of looks like jellyfish in the water. Is that oil?
30 more seconds. for
No
people
yeses,
online.
no yeses. How about online? How we doing? So we
We're-
have 1 yes for sure on the left, and nobody knows what's going on that picture on the right. Okay,
No, I'd say no.
everybody's saying no. Okay,
Let me end the poll
we're ending the
here.
poll.
Okay, and then share the results. So you will have them in your screen right now.
All right,
Yeah.
1 person got it right. Those are both oil.
Really?
Yes.
It looks like it's all broken up.
Yeah, so not common, right? So oil typically doesn't stay separated, it sticks together. It's just a different product or a different view, right? Different glare from the camera, right? Different aerial view. Both of these are oil.
Would you be seeing, if it wasn't this crappy picture, would you be, if you were really looking at it, would you be seeing an oil sheen or are those just like clots?
Not the photographer,
Yeah.
stole this from NOAA,
Yeah.
and that person
Yeah.
is no longer employed by NOAA, so I cannot ask him that question.
Okay,
It was a little rainbow sheet.
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
scattered, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The pictures
If you-
don't do it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't really use them.
Yeah.
All right.
stay with me, guys, we're doing the best we can, all
Yep.
right, we're
Okay.
working with the tools here, the tools we've got, okay, all right. Next question. How we doing online? All right.
Yeah.
So now we have a couple of kind of beachy style scenes. We've got a sandy shoreline here with some wave action. On the left or on my left on your page is that oil. Look at your photos. Don't look up here in the room. That one's really hard to see with the backlighting. Is that oil? It's the dark stuff kind of at the break, above the break line. Is that oil? Yeah. Anybody in the room? Is that oil? 2 say yes. I assume if the hands are down, that's a no. Okay. And then how about the photo on the right? Where you have kind of this sandy bar connecting the shoreline, and then there's 2 bodies of water on either side, or 1 body of water split by this sandbar. Is that oil?
Are we looking at the stuff in the gravel?
Black.
Oh,
You're looking at the black. Yeah, okay, 3. Okay, how are we doing online? Got some good
Yeah,
participation there.
so we're
Yeah,
going to end the poll and I'm sharing here the result.
okay,
So you're ready.
all right. Here we go. Again, 1 person was right. Neither one of these are wrong. Okay, so that first photo with the nice wave action, that's kelp. Again, like the algae, or the algal bloom, moves a lot like oil, right? So as the water moves, it's gonna be very fluid motion. It's gonna look a lot like oil. It's gonna kind of have that same trajectory as water moves. It's gonna move like oil, right? This is a mussel bed. So that other photo on the right side of your page is a bed of mussels, sitting on top of that sandbar. It's very dense, so it can look from a distance from that aerial photo, looks like, oh, is that oil? Right, we need to investigate. So you have to get down. Our OSPSs might get called out because someone might be flying their drone and they're like, oh my God, there's this huge oil spill. You guys gotta go check it out. And they get down there and they're like, there's no oil anywhere. It was a bed of mussels, so. All right, so our last part of this is just kind of, your hint, right? And we kind of touched on this a little bit. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. What was your name?
Marisa, hi.
Marisa, thank you. This was a great point, right? So here's your hint about sheen, right? So typically oil sheen is gonna break apart but join back together quickly. So if you stuck a stick in it and you like swirled it around, it's gonna go like this and come right back together, right? But if it's an organic type of a sheen, it may break apart and stay separated. Okay?
Thank you.
But if you're not sure, always call. When in doubt, make the phone call. You have no idea, you don't know what it is, it looks like oil, could be oil, smells like oil. You don't know, call. 1 drop of oil, make the phone call, okay? So here's your phone number for the National Response Center, the State Warning Center, and here are some of your Coast Guard sector phone numbers that are relevant to your area. Any questions online about the game? Sorry if it was a little unclear. We're gonna try to crisp those pictures up and make it a little bit different next year. Come back next year, it'll be better, I promise. All right,
Yeah, we have
Ma'am.
a question.
We're also getting, some calls will come in and it's the Bahia, the by the wind sailors. And people think it's an oil sheen because of how it moves. It looks like it's a bunch of clumpy oil, but it's really just that little, hydrozone. And there's tons of them all together.
Okay.
okay,
So we put
so,
those as well.
Wildlife Officer Amanda Johnson just said that we are getting a lot of calls into the warning center and then we get dispatched out for the Bahia, which moves a lot like oil. And so we get dispatched out, we check it out, it is not in fact oil. But again, that is our job to make that determination. The oil spill prevention specialist, Officer Johnson, one of our environmental scientists, that's their job as the field response team to go out and make that determination. We don't expect you to be experts. We love that you guys are our eyes on, right? You guys are our eyes in the field. You say, that's suspicious, make the call.
Better
Right?
safe than sorry.
Better safe than sorry. You guys are our experts of your area. That something looks not right in my neighborhood. Make the call. right?
We have a
Okay.
question.
Yes.
Online. It says, as a surfer, we encountered tarp Bobby's natural seepage. What about this?
Okay, so for like the tar balls, natural seepage. What, are you from the Santa Barbara area?
Lance, if you want to unmute yourself.
Tons there.
Really?
Lance, I can tell you, Lance is in, hold on for a sec, I can just do visuals here.
Orange.
Yeah, so when I worked, I
Yeah.
worked in Ventura County.
Yeah,
and I dealt
Orange
with
County.
marbles all the time.
So tar balls are natural, to certain areas along the coast, depending on natural seep, right? You can report them if you're uncertain. That doesn't mean that there isn't activity in the area. We do get called out for tar ball inspection on occasion. Yeah, Amanda, would you like to?
So my first post was down in Ventura and I didn't know about it. That's what I was just talking to you about, natural seep. So when we took the patrol boat out, there's literally just natural seep coming up and on the beach, that's when you go walking, you get the tar on your feet. Baby oil helps take it off. But yeah, we got those falls all the time, tar balls. And it would usually be people that weren't from that area. They were like, oh, we think that there's an oil spill, but it's just from the natural seep.
Again, if you are unsure if it's seep oil or if it's a release from a vessel that may have passed by, if you are not sure, make the call. Yeah, Jenna.
And then in terms of cleanup of that, like if there's a big collection of natural seep oil, that's not something that Oscar
Correct.
or the Coast Guard respond to because it's natural.
Correct.
So we do get calls, so there may be big collections of it, because there's higher activity. Sometimes earthquake activity can
Wave
affect
action.
that, and then there's like a larger deposit on the beach than normal. But that's not under our jurisdiction to do cleanup for them.
I did not introduce Jenna Driscoll. She is an environmental scientist, also statewide liaison officer, my supervisor. And an all-around expert for OSPR 101. So thank you, Jenna, for pointing that out. Still make the phone call, let us inspect. If it's natural seep and it's not our jurisdiction, we will at least make that determination. There are often sheen that has no, like, we don't know where it came from, and it is our job to inspect that. So if you're not sure, make the call. If it's natural seep, we will step away from it. Any other questions before we move on? I think we're ready for Mr. Caligari.
Questions from the people joining us online? Nope.
All right.
Hold on for a
Questions,
sec.
sir?
Well, they do, and I'm not sure if this is the right time, but
Yes, sir.
years ago, we were at a fuel dock and there was a spill of diesel in the water. And the fuel dock provided us with a spray bottle of detergent or whatever, and Lord knows it all went away. Is there a material that?
Just.
No dispersants.
No, that was not the thing to do, probably, because that's not
It seemed
legal.
to work.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
So let's,
Like,
let's,
there's a- like Joy or something.
no, and let's remember, good point. Let's remember that's why we included in the toolkit the law that says it is illegal to use soaps, dispersing agents, or any detergent on a spill to mask it, right? Let's remember, based on biology 101, the dispersants, what they're going to do is they're going to break the density of the oil or the fuel that sits on top of the water column. And rather than keeping the problem up, you're moving into the water column and probably in the sediments. Oil and soaps are really, really bad for the environment. And you know that soaps, even the one that you see as a green marketing washing thing on the news, that they see the dogs and people are washing. No, you do that on a lab condition. You don't wash any oil animals directly onto the shore because they are extremely harsh on the environment. They can break a lot of the particles of the microorganisms and create a horrible environmental impact. So please do not use soaps. It is extremely illegal. I can send you a link to see the penalties that you can get if you get caught using soap. So it is extremely illegal. That used to be a practice from the 80s, so don't do it, okay?
And Michael will cover diesels versus other petroleum products for you. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank
And
you.
and we're
Thank
going
you.
to be jumping into the case scenarios as part of your agenda, so I'm going to let Mike talk about those. There are a couple of videos that you're going to be seeing. Don't worry about the sound. We don't care about what the news is saying because we have here the expert. He will be telling you about the situation. So I'm just saying that for people here and also people joining us online, okay?
We've had, like she was saying, dispersants, no. We've had people, I was at Spud Point Marina, one time on a spill, and the guy said, why don't we just in situ burn it? And burn it on the water. Now, we're not gonna do that. We did in situ burning in Deepwater Horizon, in the Gulf of Mexico. California does not approve that. We don't do in situ burning. I was doing the burning. We have fire boom and all that, but that's so.
They also use
Um,
dispersants.
And they also use dispersants and all that, so, just an FYI for everybody, you guys are pretty much everybody's from Alameda. Alameda County has 6 boom trailers. The fire department has 3 of them, so in this area, there's six boom trailers. You guys can utilize, you can go onto our website, I just went onto the website and brought up how many were here, so, and it tells you the location, where they're at, the point of contact. Yeah, University Ave in Berkeley, Pardee Drive in Oakland, Clay Street, so Maritime, so down in the port of Oakland. All right, is this working? It's not, doesn't seem like it's, oh, there we go. So, we're gonna go on to some cases that we had. So Humboldt Bay, that was a sunken vessel. I don't know how, if you guys came across this, anybody online, raise your hand, unmute, just go ahead and chime in. If you guys came across this vessel and it was in your berth, how would you guys, what would be their first response to this sunken vessel? This is a fishing boat. Boom it, make a phone call. Yeah, make the phone call, we'll get the notification and then we start the booming process. A lot of times you don't want to use pads if it's windy, because next thing you know, they're going down with the, if it's a tidally influenced, it's gonna go down. You gotta recover those. And yeah, there's the same vessel, is the pointer working?
Here, if you,
Oh, it's okay, yeah, so. Yeah, you can see how many pads they use. You just have to, those have to be recovered, so.
So we had a spill at our marina and,
I've been out to your marina many
I'm
times.
sure you know, I don't know if it was you or someone else, it was one of our new employees, they were working by themselves, so. We've always trained them to contain the spill, make sure you stop it from spreading, and then after that, start making the phone calls. But one of the Osprey agents trained them for doing that, they said, like, you need to call right away.
Yeah, the sooner the better, that, I remember that,
the question here, please, for the people virtually.
oh, what's that?
If you can repeat what. he
Oh,
said.
did you guys, did you guys hear that?
If somebody can unmute and tell us if you hear what it was said here in the room, the question.
I heard it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just want to make sure you guys, yeah, I was there. I was with the game warden. It was, so you can make the phone call, but you guys are first line of defense. You guys are there, make the phone call, put the boom out first. Just try to contain it, keep it from moving. If it's a heavily tidally influenced, you want to contain it, that's fine, make the phone call and then take care of business, and then we'll be en route.
What's typical response time? Is it minutes, hours?
So we have you know, Amanda's out, the game wardens, we're all strategically located. I'm in, Pittsburgh, she's in Redwood City, Cheeto's out of Alameda. So and there's a 3-person team, so when it's me, a game warden and a scientist. We have one scientist in Stockton. We have one scientist up in Eureka.
Good.
So we're all everywhere, and then we have local wardens that can get eyes on it and say, hey, yeah, you guys need to roll. We need to get over here, this boat's leaking, he's got 400 gallons on board, so.
Yeah, so we try to get whoever's closest to it, like I had a call up in Shasta and I'm down here. And I wasn't gonna be able to get there in time, so we get the closest warden or OSPS or ES that can get eyes on it from Osprey.
Yep. Any other questions?
People, joining us
Online?
virtually, any questions about these case scenarios?
Perfect. This was on my last on call. It was in Pittsburgh. I responded to it. The vessel actually sank overnight. I got there and the owner floated it. He put a pump on it, floated, he dewatered it. And, there was, I think, 10 gallons of fuel on it, so we weren't too worried about it floating. He doesn't know why it sank. He thinks the sea chest was open, but it wasn't taking on water, so that was an easy one. We just, he had already put the boom around it. And, the marina was keeping an eye on it, and, all of us have pretty good relationships with all of the marinas and harbor masters, so, this one was easy. This was also my call, Bethel Island. I went out there. This was an unknown sheen, unknown source, unknown responsible party. So, Bethel Island, there was a sheen, you can see the sheen. It went all the way into the reeds, and, we just tried to put some boom out, tried to collect it. It warmed up, it was like 90 degrees that day. It was gone. A couple hours later, it was gone. The thing about gasoline spills, you do not want to boom it with hard boom because of the flammability. And you guys, I don't know if you know that, but you definitely don't want to put boom around it. Cause then you have to have an intrinsically safe flashlight, you got a spark can light that. So just be careful with booming. This was wide open. It was, you can see how wide open it was. They put boom just to try to collect some, but
Well, what do you do if you don't boom it?
it'll flash off.
No, but tell me, what do you do instead?
You don't do
anything.
We don't do anything.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because like I said, it was a nice day, 90 degrees. I went back because I live in Pittsburgh, so, I went to Bethel Island, I think 3 or 4 hours later, and there was no sheen.
So it just evaporates?
It evaporates, it flashes off.
That's what you said. When you said flash off, I thought you meant fire.
No,
Okay.
it just evaporates.
Got it.
When you said hard boom, you mean? like
The
that?
yellow hard boom, 12-inch, harbor boom,
Yeah, yeah.
so, was there a question online?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying just to find the question.
As
no.
opposed to the sorbents or the sausage boom, the
So
hard boom is the,
plastic you take.
yeah.
Is the one you see on the news that looks like yellow or sometimes orange?
We have-
And that one can be decontaminated after use, but the absorbents cannot.
Yeah, so the absorbent sausage boom, you have to dispose of it properly. You cannot, I caught a guy at a spill. Had a garbage bag full of sausage boom, contaminated with oil, putting it in his trunk. I said, wait a minute, what are you doing? And you have to dispose of, that's hazmat. He goes, I was gonna put it in my garbage at home. Yeah, no, you can't do that. So you have to dispose of, you have to get a temporary EPA ID number. And you have to take it to a disposal facility that's either gonna burn it. Or dispose of it properly. You have to dispose of it. I can't. everybody I talk to, we can take it home, we can do, no.
Is this
So-
something household hazardous waste would take?
Yeah.
Sometimes, depends on how big the spill is, I mean, we quantify that, so, and then we have to put it into a large bin. And then the environmental contractor can dispose of it for us.
The household usually has to get cap on them.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you're an individual, like when we talk to voters, you have the right to bring until certain amount to your county household hazardous waste. But if you're considered commercial, like in the case of a yacht club or marina, because they of course is a bigger facility, you have to use an approved hauler for that purpose. You cannot bring until certain amount to your county household hazardous waste.
Yeah, you have to have a hazmat endorsement, and you know, if it's a big enough load, you have to have a commercial driver's license, so. There's a bunch of parameters, it has to be placarded if it's liquid, so. Folks, it's not. The remote,
No problem. Now we should.
there we
Okay.
go. Is that the video? Yeah.
Yeah,
This was right down the street, this
sorry.
video, it's all right.
So we're going to be showing this video again, just for people joining virtually as well as people here. You're not going to hear anything because we have here the experts, so we can be able to. So this is the one in Alameda that happened this year, March 2025.
Cheeto, were you on this? Oh. So this one, the fire department, you can see the fireman, you can see, we just stay back. Let them do their work, let them put the fire out, and then the OSPS showed up, I think it was around 6 o'clock in the morning, had been extinguished. There's the sailboat. And,
What was the cars, this electrical or something?
the what?
Fishing boat next.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
But how did it start?
Yeah.
My understanding was a heater.
Yeah, it was I mean, that's not the first one that I've seen that the heater, we had another one in Bethel Island. The guy had the heater, he was sleeping, had the heater, it was cold. His girlfriend came, dropped his laundry off, put it in front of the heater. And the boat caught fire. So, you know, heaters are huge. If you guys are harbor masters, tell these people, just let them know to, just be aware of that. And, he was asleep when his feet caught fire and because she put the laundry in front of the heater. So, and then, the next thing we did here was, the contractor and, the marina put boom around it. Is that your marina? Or, no?
No,
it's over in gate 9.
Oh, okay, so, they put boom around it and then, tried to refloat, I guess they tried to refloat the fishing boat, I think, if I remember correctly. Anybody online?
It's still an empty slip. I was just down.
Oh, is that your marina?
No,
Oh,
no, right here.
The next building.
so, any questions online? No?
no,
Oh, are you monitoring that? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
that's good because I'm like,
Oh, I need to. There we go.
hold on, I was like, okay, you can go. This is another video, hold on.
In LA.
You may hear some information from the reporters.
Now, a big cleanup effort is ongoing this morning after this large yacht caught fire in Marina Del Rey.
Neighbors heard loud explosions coming from the boat as it burned. ABC4's Lauren Coronado is in Marina Del Rey as more resources are starting to show up. Lauren.
Adrian, Robin, good morning. A big cleanup operation underway right now. I just talked with some of the environmental hazard crews about what the project looks like. They said it's going to take the next few hours at least. It could even take days. They're going to assess how bad the damage is in terms of fuel, oil spills and whatnot. right here live, you can see some of the crews already starting to take a look at the mess that they're going to be dealing with. And as cleanup just gets started, we're hearing from neighbors who watched the boat on fire and worried flames could spread to other boats.
Multiple explosions, and then after a little while the horn started to blow, and then there were fireworks, colored fireworks, and now it's starting to capsize and it's still burning.
A 100-foot, 3-story private boat up in flames around 8:30 last night here in Basin A off Bora Bora Way. This morning, we're learning from the Marina Del Rey Sheriff's Station, fireworks were on that yacht, and while the cause of the fire is still under investigation, that appears to be what went off, at least from the heat of the fire. Nellie County Fire Captain says the firefight had some challenges.
It's a delicate balance with putting the fire out and not sinking the boat. There's a bunch of environmental hazards in that vessel, fuel, oil, what have you. And so we're doing that delicate dance right now of putting the fire out, but not sinking the vessel in its slip.
Thankfully, no one was on the boat at the time. Witnesses say the owner was on the dock nearby. No injuries were reported either. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Back out here live, you see several workers who are just getting started with that cleanup effort. And I also want to let you know you can smell fuel, so it's definitely a big issue here in Marina Del Rey. We understand this could take, according to a worker, the next couple of days, just depending on how bad this spill is. But of course, there's much more to come on this. We'll go ahead and bring you guys another
So
lineup.
like I was saying before, you guys are gonna be, all the marinas and the marina operators are gonna be the first line of defense for us before we get there. And then you're gonna want to, see, that's the hard boom right there. So this is 12-inch hard boom, 18-inch hard boom, harbor boom, and you wanna put some, you guys would probably be the first one putting sausage boom around, not only the vessel, you can go around 2 slips to make sure you get everything, because especially during a fire, if you got grab that, so no problem. You want to just put it around both of them, and in a fire, a lot of times the dock burns and there's going to be debris in the water, so just be careful. I think that's Refugio right there. We had a lot of contractors there. So Refugio was the pipeline, the Plains All-American pipeline was across the Highway 1 in Goleta. And there's a overpack right there. So the Refugio spill, the line went down underneath the railroad tracks, and then there was a cliff, and it was actually coming off like a waterfall, and it was pure oil, and it had been leaking for I think 12 hours. And I got down there about 15 hours, and it went underneath the active rail line. So we had to get permission from Union Pacific Railroad. It was a pretty, and we had to put the pipe under, we had to put another pipe underneath it. So we had to kind of stop the line, because when you stop a rail line, UPR doesn't like that. It's $2 million plus per hour if you shut that line down. So,
Sorry for the people online. We have a bunch of new sailors having fun learning a
so
bunch of
these
stuff
are-
here out there.
So a lot of people, oh, sorry, well, that was me. So if you could, you guys can, the spill, you can put a spill kit inside one of those, on the dock. Those are for the boats, I guess. Or you could get the 95-gallon, overpack and put the boom and PPE. You can see the PPE right there, gloves. Just make sure the people don't grab stuff with bare hands. You don't want to get petroleum product. You don't want to have oil on your hands. Are all of you guys 40-hour certified, or you guys have any kind of hazmat, or you are?
Like 12 hours.
Well, yeah, that's
Or
fine.
8
You
hours,
guys
whatever
have
it
an
is.
awareness,
Yeah.
because we we like to see a 8-hour, 16-hour, 24-hour, 40-hour would be great, but, and then this is, I think this is a grant trailer here. It has,
I have the 40 hours, so.
yeah, some people have 40-hour, and at a minimum, you can have a 24-hour or a 16-hour, so. So this is what we were talking about, the in situ burning, cleanup agents, dispersants, we don't, in California, we don't, do you know by any chance, we can't do any of that, right?
We can, we have a certification process for what we can use.
Okay, that's what I,
But they have to be, approved by OSPR, they're like tested, and they're also Coast Guard approved.
yeah,
And it goes through an approval process for each incident. So the federal on-scene coordinator, either the US Coast Guard or the US EPA, can make the decision to use those types of methods. If there's a significant, public health threat.
Yeah.
Or it would be, a net environmental benefit to use those types of products, because you're thinking about something major.
Yeah.
Like a oil well explosion or something.
it's a big spill,
Yeah.
it's not, they're just not gonna do it
Very
for,
rare. Mostly what we use and what you see in that photo is the surface washing agents, to clean vessels that are incidentally oiled.
Yeah.
Like nearby vessels, and they do that in a very controlled environment. You see they have a lot of containment boom around them, and they're just using, hand washing towels
Yeah.
with those applied so that they don't get in.
so what we did, we used, that at Refugio also. For the vessels that were contaminated, and, it was literally. 10 or 15 guys, that's all they did was wipe vessels down, and that's all hazmat, has waste. The water that they, if they pressure wash, the water is contaminated, you have to dispose of that properly, so. The vac truck is gonna pull up, unload the waste into a Baker tank. And,
So this is something that an agency or an organization would do, but an individual boater is not gonna do that, because they're not gonna have.
no,
These
they would bring their boat, just
Yeah.
like that sailboat, they would bring the boat to our decon station. And say, hey, my boat got contaminated by this spill, and we would pay, essentially, us or Coast Guard or whoever would pay for
And
that
that,
decon.
yeah, and that's why as a result of these efforts, we have been communicating not only with the facilities, but also with the boaters. So when OSPR, for example, communicates with us, we can just tell the yacht clubs and the marinas, please direct your boaters who have been impacted to these different locations. So that's why the importance of having the transparent communication with everybody so we can help each other, right?
Thank you.
So you guys everybody should have some sort of, a contingency plan as to how to move forward after a spill. So just set up a couple page, make the notifications, call the, oil spill removal organization, the OSRO. Were there any questions online? No? Just make a
Just
list.
one.
Well, go ahead.
Given the recent underwater volcanic activity off the coast of California and tsunami threat, is there any precautions or preventative measures in place that we should be aware of? Years ago, the Dana Point Harbor experience, was unprepared. How's it exist?
I don't know of any, with the movement of tectonic plates causing earthquakes and tsunamis. I'm not a geologist by any means. I know.
I think having the spill kit is your best.
Definitely.
I think knowing where your surrounding resources are.
Yep.
is your best preventative measure. Knowing who your harbor masters are and having a good contact tree is your best preventative measure. Knowing who to call when you have a problem is your best preventative measure.
Yeah, just go up to, go meet your
County.
marinas and, go over to, like I said, these, go to University Ave, go to, all of these, Berkeley Marina has a grant trailer, Fire Station 20, you can go to this list and it'll tell you Lake Merritt has one. East Bay Regional Parks and the Port of Oakland, they all have grant trailers. And you can go onto that website and, get your marina set up. On, coordination of who's the first responder, if you guys are open 24 hours. How many of you guys have, fuel docks? You guys have a fuel dock? So I do the inspections for the fuel docks, and we do a questionnaire also for small craft refueling docks. And, so I go out and visit, make sure you guys have a mushroom stop on the dock in case somebody's filling and they overfilled, you can stop it. And a valve, there should be a butterfly valve in line, so you can stop the flow of fuel. If that's a 24-hour dock, somebody has to be able, we have to be able to get a hold of somebody responsible that can turn it off, because you have to be able to turn it off. Some docks are 24 hours. When I was stationed with the Coast Guard, we would go up to Rio Vista and fuel 24 all night, so. Whoop, oh, we're running. Let me see here. So if you guys encountered in your marina, how would you guys handle a sunken vessel?
And let people online, if you want us to go ahead and try to respond to that question. If you have any.
Anybody online?
Yes.
So the first thing you're gonna do is try to communicate, let as many people know as possible. Whoops, go ahead. Yeah.
Call NRC.
Yep, Harbor Patrol, Harbor Master, NRC, definitely. And, if you have to, call the fire department and they'll put the notification out. And then try to contain it. And then control it. So try to stop the fuel from coming out if possible. Plug vents, because each fuel tank's gonna have a vent. So you gotta try to control it. And then the process of the cleanup starts. Any questions online? No?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so you want to, like I said before, with gasoline, you want to identify the risk. Diesel has a higher flash point, so we're not, go ahead. I thought somebody said something. Okay.
Oops, sorry.
That's all right. Safety is next. You want to protect, like, Amanda was saying before, they had to put up a barrier to keep the looky-loos from coming. Everybody's curious, especially if it's their marina. So you gotta protect yourself, put up caution tape. And then, notification, like we just said. Yeah, definitely put boom around, whether it's hard boom, sausage boom, just get it in the water. I mentioned this before, the threat of ignition, so you wanna watch, and make sure anybody coming in the area, intrinsically safe. That means you're not gonna cause a spark. Cheeto and I go on to, facilities. And we can't use our phones, our flashlights have to be intrinsically safe. And then cost documentation and cleanup. Go ahead.
Any tips for getting the boom around in that situation right there if you don't have a dinghy?
If you don't have
A dinghy.
so that's kind of hard.
You can't board the boat.
Yeah, you can't board the vessel. That's a safety thing. So I would try to get one. Try to borrow somebody's boat. See if you can, there's no way you can get boom out around, especially if it's a tidal influence and you have tide coming in, going out. It's hard to manage. So
Yeah, we have a lot of end tides and that could.
what marina are you out of?
Oakland right here.
Oh, okay.
Next building.
Every one of these docks right here is Oakland dock.
Yeah.
And you don't have a dinghy,
We do,
a skiff or
we
something.
do. We have.
So yeah, no, that's a good question. I don't know how, Cheeto, you got anything on
What's the
that?
question?
How would he put the boom around without a dinghy? I don't think
Well, are we talking about if the vessel is anchored, like?
just like that.
Like that one.
Yeah, it's sunk. You can't, how are you gonna get the boom around it?
Oh, excuse me, guy. Is that attached to a dock still?
It looks like it's attached to the dock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is done.
Okay, guys. Hi, my name is Chico Santos. I'm an OSPS also. We have experience, if a partially sunken vessels or something, sometimes if it's a gasoline, again, we don't boom it,
Yeah.
but absorbents, you can use that because it will collect it, then you can remove the absorbent. And highly recommended for the 40 hours hot swapper people only, okay? If you are not qualified, you can throw absorbent pads on high flammable fluids like gasoline. But we cannot use contractor booms or hard booms, okay? For the reason of, we don't want them to be concentrated and we'll classify. So in this question, if you don't have the dinghy, is at least, if you can isolate that area, you don't have to directly boom where that sunken vessel's in. For example, it's in a lagoon or something, if you can secure that small area or small part of the dock where you can access it, then you do that. But yeah, if you don't have any dinghy, your life is more important, the safety is more important.
Yeah.
Before anything else, so yes, we don't recommend, don't do anything, just continue calling and make a phone calls and.
I'd also add, you could also move to protect something else, right? So if there's a next door vessel that you don't want to get impacted, if you can't access the vessel to contain it, use it as an exclusion boom instead.
Yeah, in our situation, they're all gonna be end ties, the end of the dock. And so they're side tied. And they're sailboats, so you couldn't even throw a line. Cause you're not gonna get it over the mast.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I would just go from the easiest point, go around the whole dock. Just close it off.
it's not bad.
We use like ropes and those telescoping paint poles to get around.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
It depends on how big the boat
Yeah.
is, but sometimes it'll work.
yeah, I mean, I've come across marinas that don't have a Zodiac or a dinghy, so.
But you guys, just to let you know, contractors, we have our OSPROs that we call oil spill response organization. They're been vetted, they're being trained to do that, like by the using of the current of water, using buoys to float those single small line attached to a bigger line, attached to a boom until they can surround that. So there's ways, but for you guys, we don't expect you
If
to
you're
do
not
that kind of.
experienced, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I was saying earlier, on this is a old, looked like, I think it was a tug, if I remember correctly. And we dewatered it and, you plug the vents, remove the fuel. Your question?
Yeah, no, somebody making a comment, sorry.
Oh, okay. Remove the fuel, raise the vessel, they're dewatering it. And you can't, if they're dewatering it and it's contaminated, you can only decant inside, the hard boom in the bay. Then the divers and the salver, there's different companies that do that. Exposure. PPE, always have some PPE, gloves, boots, Tyvek. And.
Is number three?
No. Oh, there we go. Seawater, the divers and the environmental contractor will do the control, they'll plug it. Then decon and disposal. This was, this one here was in Bethel Island. I was on that one. This one also, so this guy here, this was in Bethel Island. He said, well, it's my sailboat. I'm just gonna fully encapsulate the sailboat. Which is fine. I mean, it's his boat, he wants to do, but we still required him to put boom around it, the sausage boom around it. But he said, oh, I'm not paying for anything. Well,
You're all, yeah, you are.
yeah, well, his insurance, he had insurance, so, but he wanted to fully encapsulate it with this tarp, and that tarp is run underneath it up around the whole thing. It was pretty crazy. And this is a crane barge. It's lifting a boat out of the water. So, you know, we use different companies that have a crane barge, and this one, they're removing the debris out of the water. And this one, they're lifting the vessel, so. Like I said, can't stress more, proper and legal disposal. You have to dispose of it properly. And most jobs, if we're on the job, you cannot dispose of anything until we say you can. So, we have to quantify it and check, see how much was, picked up. Any questions online?
Midges.
Nothing so far.
Okay,
I have a question.
yes,
So, I don't belong to a marina or anything, but we are on kayaks and outriggers
Yeah.
and stand-up paddles, and I have often seen a lot of oil slicks, a lot of gas spills. Some,
you see,
yeah, sheen.
you can report it, I mean, just
Yeah.
report it.
So usually I'll try to, if it's connected to a marina, I call a marina, but you know, we're out on the water. And then, you know, one time called 911 because you could see it coming out of the boat really quickly. But I just, for the ones that aren't connected, where do we call?
Just call Cal OES, they're
Okay.
gonna ask you, and if
Okay.
you can, get the vessel name,
Okay,
CF number.
okay,
And you say, and tell them, I see it streaming off of the vessel, cause he
Yeah.
could have pumped his bilges or something.
Yeah.
So,
If it's sheen in the water and you don't know where it came from, still call the state warning center.
okay,
Yeah.
that's.
So that's why just have it in your phone, both phone numbers, or call one or the other. Again, if you are the responsible party, you don't have option, you have to call. But if you observe, because we're good stewards, we are also responsible for reporting what we're seeing.
just,
right?
and you know, a lot of people are afraid to do that. They're afraid to call, just make the call. You're not gonna get charged, it's both, you know, or, you know, you're not gonna get charged for cleanup. Who do you work for?
I'm an organization called I Heart Oakland Alameda Estuary.
Oh, okay.
And we just got a NOAA grant with the city of Oakland to clean up some sun.
Oh,
Great.
some derelict vessel?
Yeah.
Okay,
They do a bunch of.
any other
amazing-
questions?
People online, any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or just use the chat. We want to give you also the opportunity.
Go ahead.
I just was wondering, because I'm from Marin, later on, I was wondering if I could get a list from you after this of the trailers in Marin.
Okay, I'm at
You can
later.
go online.
We're going to send you as a follow-up email, all those links, so
Right.
don't worry. And I'll summarize what you're receiving, yeah.
Thank you.
Hold on, because we have somebody here online. Bear with me for a sec.
They just say no.
There, no questions.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let me hide this for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Great. I haven't changed my name since the last time I was up here, but in case you forgot, because I might have, it's Andrea. I'm gonna talk to you about the grant trailers that Vivian has mentioned and Michael and Cheeto have both talked about. These are provided to local government agencies and or California Native American tribes that are adjacent to waters of the state. It's pre-staged response equipment, meaning that it lives somewhere for one of these local government agencies, and it is pre-stocked with oil spill response equipment. So these are some of the criteria that we use when we decide whether or not a local government agency is a good candidate for one of our grants. Are they in close proximity? What is the proximity to waters of the state? That could be rivers, streams. If it is a lake that is considered a respondable water of the state, or obviously coastal regions, marinas, harbors, etc. Is the local government agency protecting economic sites? What is their proximity to other resources? So Michael talked about the other 6 grant trailers that are nearby. That doesn't preclude somebody from applying or receiving a grant trailer just because there's another trailer nearby. It just means that if there's a high probability of additional releases or other incidents in this area, we may need more resources to protect, right? It doesn't mean that just because there are 6 trailers in the area that we wouldn't need another trailer. We just want to know where those resources are, right? And then what is that entity, that local agency's availability to share those resources with people around them? So let's say that the City of Oakland Police Department has a trailer and they want to stage it at the Oakland Marina. They have to be willing to share it then here, right? At Encinal Yacht Club, okay? So they have to be able, or share it with, let's say Cheeto calls and says, I have a spill that's at the next harbor over, I want to come pick up the trailer here and use it. So they have to be willing to share those resources with us and with other people who need to use that to save the environment, right?
Andrea,
Yes,
just one good example.
Sure.
You guys know the case say incident right here by Naville, the 100-foot sail boat that's on.
Mhm.
The boom there is all grunt from
Grant
Oscar,
trailer.
but they came from Oakland because it was staged in Oakland. Oakland Fire Department
Correct.
assist Alameda Fire Department and put that boom immediately.
correct. Thank you. That's a
That's
great
probably
point.
good
Thank you.
example.
Thank you, Cheeto. Okay, and so myself and Michael or Cheeto would go out and we're gonna do an evaluation of your needs, right? And your ability to deploy the equipment. Do you have enough personnel? Do you have a boat? So we're just talking about a skiff or, right? You're gonna need a boat to deploy that boom, right? It's kind of hard to hand walk 1,000 feet of boom out to those locations, right? And then can you maintain the trailer? So although we're providing you with a full trailer full of equipment, it then falls on the trailer owner to maintain registration, make sure the wheels stay intact, make sure that it stays full of booms, keeps a buoy, keeps the Danforth anchor, that all of those things stay intact. So those are the things that we're going to talk about when we come out and evaluate whether or not the local entity is a good candidate for one of our trailer grants. Funding. So also, back when Lempert, Keene, Seastrand, our authority that Amanda talked about in her presentation, we also had our local assistance funding grants that came into play. And that is where we get our funding for the grants. Originally, these were a very basic, very specific, you couldn't tailor them. They were all one size fits all modalities where they all had the same stuff in them and you couldn't pick. And the original grants were up to 25,000. Now our grant value is up to 45,000 and they're very custom. So some places might need 1,500 feet of boom. Some places might need longer skirt on their boom because of the type of water that we're deploying the boom in. Sometimes they don't need as much boom, but they need other things like they need scene lighting or they need a generator or they need more PPE. Now we're giving locations water gates, right? And this is a method of an underflow water dam, which helps water come out the bottom, but it keeps oil and things on the surface so that we can skim and protect and keep the water or the oil products contained up here while clean water comes out the bottom. And those are useful for stream beds, small, narrow river waters, right? And so we can offer a water gate for some of our trailers. Simple application, it's gonna be the easiest application you might have ever filled out in your life. It is 1 page. We have over 80 response trailers throughout the state. We now have 5 water gates throughout the state. You can see that, when Vivian sends out the information that shows where all of our trailers are located in California. You can see which trailers have water gates. They're denoted with a yellow star. And then, grants are of course based on available funds in California based on our budget. So, here's an example of what the water gate looks like. For those of you online, it's the guy standing in front of the, yellow contraption. Oh, go back, wrong button. Here we go. So here you have in the upper, left-hand corner, you have your Danforth anchor and your buoy and some line. Below that, you have your poly sheeting and some sorbent pads, and it looks like a bag of sausage boom. Down the middle, you have some boom nav lights that you stick on top of your boom so that your joyriders in the night aren't flying over your boom that's set out around a vessel. And then you have the back end of the truck, which has kind of your what do they call that? Whale tailing? What do they call that when they wrap it? What do they call that? Flaking? I don't know. It's not flaking.
Yeah.
So when your boom is flaked in your truck, that's your hard boom there, and then you have your water gate deployed inside a stream bed.
Andrew, question.
Yes.
For example, Balboa Island, Newport Beach, where parking and storage is limited, are there grants for trailer storage fees?
Okay, so the question is repeated because the question was said far back in the room. Are there grants for trailer storage fees? We do not offer grants to pay your storage fees. That the onus of that portion of what you would be paying would fall on the grantee. So you would have to pay those storage fees. That would be part of maintaining your grant trailer.
Fire department, grants and Westminster Marina, we were willing to work with them just to
Yes.
have that there for us if we need it as well.
Absolutely. That's the kind of partnership that Vivian was talking about. Just because you're a private entity doesn't exclude you from working with a public local entity to combine together to make that resource possible for the two of you.
That's how the city of Pittsburgh they have 2 of them and they're both at a fire station off of Loveridge, right off Highway 4. And that's where it's stored. I go by there, inspect it, we go by and make sure, a lot of times I'll go and the tires are flat. Well, that's not a response trailer because we can't move it. So you have to maintain those if you do get one, but store it at the fire department, store it at the city of Rio Vista or Suisun City. They store it at the corporate yard, so.
Is this something that the Coast Guard would have just by default?
The Coast Guard doesn't, the unit I was at, we had boom, but the Coast Guard here, they use the boom only to wrap the boats, the ships that come in. That's the only retail, and the Navy does the same thing.
But the Pacific Strike Team, which goes all
That's-
over
that's-
the world,
yeah,
that's different.
That's different.
Yeah,
That's an environmental unit within the Coast Guard.
yeah.
That's, yeah.
So response equipment training. So each trailer comes with the initial delivery of the trailer. You get 8 hours of training provided by a professional. If the company that builds out your trailer is unable to provide the training, then one of our oil spill prevention specialists or 2 of our oil spill prevention specialists can come out and provide the training, and it's going to give you some familiarization of the equipment. It's going to teach you about how that boom kind of comes together, how you tie it onto your boat, how you tie it onto a dock, different booming strategies out in the water as well as around a vessel. It's going to talk about safety on shore. So while you're being safe on shore as well as safety on the water, and it's gonna give you some hands-on deployment. So we're gonna make sure that you have everything that you need to be on the water. We're gonna make sure you guys have proper PPE. We're gonna go over some safety again before we get out on the boats, and then Cheeto or Michael are gonna take you guys out on a boat, and they're gonna teach you how to actually, as you can see here, how you're gonna deploy that boom and give you some booming strategies for your specific harbor or marina.
Quick. So
Yes.
let's say these 2 clubs, because I'm thinking about all the clubs in San
Yes.
Rafael. Let's say they were getting a trailer grant. Let's say it was going to one of the yacht clubs.
They would have to work with a sheriff's department or local fire department, yes.
Oh, but everybody could come to the training, not just the one,
Absolutely.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, whoever is awarded the grant, so it has, remember, it has to be a local government agency that gets the
Oh, not
grant.
the club,
But they
right,
could
no.
store it at one of the clubs.
Gotcha.
So that doesn't mean you guys can't work with a local government agency to apply for one. So the local government agency gets the award, but you guys could work together to store it at your agency, right? And then you could say, hey, you guys apply for it, we'll pay to reimburse whatever gets needed. If we use products, we'll pay to reimburse whatever goes in it. And maybe that's how you work with them to say, we'd really like to work with you to get this. We just can't apply for it, but we'll store it. And we'll make sure that the tires get updated, that the registration is paid, right? We'll maintain it and store it, but we need you guys to apply for it. So you just have to work with your local government agencies to get that application process. So. Thank you. Okay, ongoing support. That's my job. That's where I come in. I've awarded you a trailer. Michael or Cheeto and I, we've come out, we've done our evaluation. We did the application process. It takes about a year from the time that you apply. We do our evaluation. We say you're a great candidate. You get awarded. They build your trailer. We've delivered it. You've received your training. Now what? We've put your information in Southwest Irma. It tells us where all those trailers live. This needs to be updated. This is not current, but this is where we used, this is an old, but this is where trailers live in the state of California. So you can see Bay Area, look at that. It looks like a pandemic spread, right? Okay, so, as you can see, we are fast growing our resources throughout the state, but we have plenty of room for more. So ongoing support. My job is to provide you refresher training once a year. So again, Michael or Cheeto or both can come out, or one of our oil spill prevention specialists throughout the state can come out, and we're gonna do a little bit of, again, shoreside training here, where we're gonna go over some shoreside safety. We're gonna do some equipment familiarization. We're gonna do a little inventory, because perhaps, John Q. Jones has come through and said, hey, you know what, my buoy's missing from my boat. And he might have borrowed it and forgot to return it, or maybe he used the anchor or some line. Or maybe he used 500 feet of boom and he forgot to replace it, right? So we're gonna do a little quick inventory and say, you're missing your first aid kit or your fire extinguisher is expired, you should probably do something about it, right? And then we're gonna do another on-water boom deployment. And it takes about 4.5 hours typically, because you've done it before. And we're gonna ask you to bring out as many staff as you can. We try not to go over 15 because that can be overwhelming, especially if you only have one boat. So we want to get as many people on the water as possible to get their hands on the equipment and to really make it a practical application. So this is kind of a quick advertisement overview of what it is. Any questions on grant trailer process?
Oh, great.
I have a business card for anybody, and Vivian's gonna send out my contact information as well. Anybody online that has questions, again, just a quick reminder, that is a local government grant. Please, we can get creative. If there is a local government entity near you throughout the state that does not currently have a trailer that you think you would want to partner with, let's work together on finding a contact person that I can reach out to, and we can partner you guys up. And we can get a trailer. And again, you work with them and say, hey, we will store and replace all the things and we'll maintain, keep it shiny and new. You just have to put in the application, right? So definitely are ways to get around that. We want everybody to have an opportunity to have one of these trailers. We just have to find the way in.
If you want to get a grant and the 45,000 scares you, they can give you the grant, and then by the time you get it, they both overlap, so
Correct.
you're not out of pocket.
Correct. It's an
That's what
invoicing
scares a
system.
lot, yeah, that's
Right,
what
you
scares a
don't
lot
need
of
to
people.
pay, it's not like a pay up front and we reimburse you necessarily, so that can happen, but also it can be in an invoicing system where by the time you get the trailer, you send us the invoice and then the invoice gets paid, right? So don't get scared about the $45,000 reimbursement. system, but we can talk more about that when you've worked with your local government agency. So if there's no questions, we're gonna have Vivian kind of give us a little wrap up here. I want to thank everybody, my state partners. I want to say thank you to Vivian, who works very hard and tirelessly all year long to make these happen. So when you have a moment, please thank her personally, send her an email, send her a shout out. She works. so
Thank
hard.
you.
Yeah,
No
and then
problem.
I'll have her wrap this up for you. She's got
Yeah.
a few things in closing.
Thank you, Andrea. And
yes.
it's a team effort, so I don't want to take credit for anything. It's just a team effort. So couple of things. This afternoon or tomorrow, I will send a follow-up email. It will have all of our contact information because we want to be a resource for you. It will have the link to all the resources you received today. So you have the actual link to every single thing active, including where the trailers are, all the information you want to have, including how to join the area contingency plans, and the drill exercises if you want to be part of that. We're also going to send you an evaluation form, and I deeply appreciate if it's one evaluation form per participant. We want to continue to improve these workshops. We're in the phase 3 of these workshops. So the more feedback we receive, the better. And I'm also going to send you information about our Expire Marine Flare collection events that are happening this year. Orange County people joining me right now, they will be in August. I'll send you the date. And for the rest of the municipalities where the grants have been applied, like here in Alameda, they will happen October, November, okay? I'm going to include in the chat right now, for those of you who are still there, the link to the evaluation form, so you can just go ahead and work on it right now, but still you're going to receive all the email with all that information. I want to say thank you to my colleagues with OSPR because they do a fantastic job. This is one of the agencies we are super proud of throughout the nation, and I think worldwide probably. And thank you everybody for joining us today, especially during this holiday that didn't apply to all of us. But thank you for joining us and have a great, great afternoon.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank you, everybody.
thank you. Be safe.
Oh,